we're going to talk about two basic workflows that you might find yourself engaging in. You may think of yourself primarily as a channel making board game reviews, which you will record and do high production editing on and then upload. Or you may think of yourself as primarily a channel that's going to live stream full playthroughs of games. But eventually, if you keep going, you're going to want to do both things. You're going to want to do some recording and editing and uploading, and you're going to want to do some live streaming. For live streaming, you've got two basic approaches. One is to use dedicated hardware to switch between scenes and cameras and do the streaming to YouTube or Twitch or whatever. Dedicated hardware like an ATEM Mini, which is what I have here. There's also a YOLO box and a whole bunch of other hardware for that. And then the alternative approach is to use a computer with software for switching and a capture card. So something like OBS, which is free and open source, but there are some commercial software as well. And then either a USB capture card, which is what this is, USB capture device, or a PCI capture device that can capture from multiple HDMI sources at once. So those are your two basic ways you can live stream: dedicated hardware or computer and software. For recording, let's call that for offline recording onto an SD card on your camera and then copying that to the computer and then editing it with editing software on the computer like Adobe Premiere or DaVinci or Power Director, and then uploading it to YouTube. For that, you've got another set of options, two basic ways you can do that. One is actually to use the same exact setup you would for live streaming. So you could actually use OBS software with your computer or something like this, an ATEM Mini. This is the ATEM Mini Pro, which can record to a USB. So even if you plan to edit your footage and not stream it live, you still could use a device like this to record in front of your camera, switch on the fly, and then get that MP4 file from that recording, bring it into your editor, touch it up, edit, cut, and then upload that. That's one option for recording offline and editing and uploading. The other more traditional way is to record in camera, so an SD card in your cameras. Bring those raw SD cards over to your computer, copy the files to your computer, bring them into your video editor, sync them up, and then edit with the raw footage and do the switching between cameras and scenes in the editor more flexibly. The advantage of doing your recording with a device like this or OBS is that it is less work. You're switching as you're going. You don't less editing work. It's much faster. You don't copying these huge 4K files to a computer can take 10-15 minutes, and working with big heavy, say 4K files is taxing. You need a high-powered computer. The files are giant, whatever. If you're doing everything as if you were live streaming it, maybe at 1080 instead of 4K, it's faster, file sizes are smaller, you do all your switching on the fly. So faster, cheaper, but much less control of the final product, less quality of your raw edited video versus if you just take the files off camera, move them to a PC and do your editing there. So you get more control and higher quality if you record in camera and move it. Let's look at a comparison of 4K video recorded from inside the camera versus 1080 resolution recorded by OBS. Without any zoom in, it's hard to tell the difference. But as you zoom in, you can see that the 1080 recorded by OBS is not quite as sharp or clear as the native 4K recorded by the camera.